Lascan Corla, in the Taoiseach's contribution earlier, he recited the remark that was made by the leader of the Labour Party that the Irish people are good at building things. And the Irish people are good at building things. The problem for this government is that many Irish people are building not in Ireland, but in America and Australia and elsewhere because of the policies of your government. They've been forced to emigrate because they can't get homes, they can't afford homes, and far too many of them want to work and live in Ireland. So my positive message to those people listening to this debate is that I want a government that wants to bring those people back so they can build in this country and build the homes that people need. I have always said, and I believe it to be true, that Fine Gael represent a cosseted, privileged class. And you guys prove me right every single time. You are the guys, supported by Fianna Fáil and now the Green Party, who rolled out the red carpet for institutional investors to come in and buy up tens of thousands of properties that should have been bought by Irish people. But instead, they were bought up by these vulture funds who are now charging extortionate rents for those very same people who can't afford to buy their own homes. That's because you guys represent the cosseted privileged class. We saw it with the collapse of the Celtic Tiger. Who was bailed out? It certainly wasn't ordinary working people. They were met with vicious cuts every single time when it comes to defending the interests of the elites, the golden circles, or the institutional investors versus ordinary working people. We know what side Fine Gael is on, and we know what side Fianna Fáil is on. It takes some brass neck to come in here and say that you've turned the corner on housing and that your policies are actually working. So let's examine the facts for 1 second. House prices are up and have been rising all of the time. Rents are up and have been rising under your government's watch, month on month, year on year. Homelessness up month on month, year on year, under your watch. You can't blame the opposition for that. You can't blame Sinn Féin or anybody else for your failures. What you guys have overseen is record levels of homelessness, house prices up, rents are up. And then look at your own targets that you guys set. Not the more ambitious targets we would have wanted you to deliver, but your own social and affordable housing targets. You missed every single one of them. And Minister McGrath is wrong to say that the biggest developers in this state are the state. The private sector built more homes than the state did, and even many of the social and affordable homes that you're talking about were actually purchased from the private sector. You guys have failed, and you have failed abysmally.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Now you talk, some of your colleagues have talked about we should not equate a notice to quit with eviction. We should not equate a notice to quit with an eviction. And that fails to understand the human consequences of what happens when a family, and many of them have been in my office, when they get the letter in the door, or the phone call, or the email to say that there is a notice to quit. The first thing they have to do is to find alternative accommodation. And I can tell you that the stress and the anxiety that causes for those families is enormous. One of those ladies sent me an email yesterday, Eleanor. She has 3 children. She is now faced with a notice to quit. She's asking me to help, begging, crying, as many families have been, and I'm sure for everybody in this house. I know and she knows that it's a lottery trying to find accommodation. Some people will, many people will not. And for many of those families, and you haven't answered the question for everybody, where are they to go? Because we simply don't have enough homes. Everybody is fishing in the same pond in the private rented sector because we don't have the social and affordable homes. So to then say that there are alternatives for all of the families that are going to be served with notices to quit is absolutely wrong. You guys claim that Sinn Féin's housing policies are populist. You're wrong. They're practical, realistic and deliverable. What have we called for? 20,000 public, social and affordable homes to be built, realistic, practical and deliverable. We told you guys you should be building public houses on public land. You ignored us. You then have a report from the Land Development Agency telling you that 60,000 homes could and should have been built, but of course you guys didn't do it. You didn't do it because you failed. So again, we were proven right that public homes could and and should have been built on public land. Ban rent increases for 3 years. Put 1 month's rent back into the pockets of renters, and embark on the biggest social and affordable housing programme the state has ever seen. That's what Sinn Féin would do. What we would not do is evict people. What we will not do is see people who are desperate trying to find alternative accommodation over the next number of months left homeless. We will embark on the biggest social and affordable housing programme the state has ever seen. What people really need is you guys gone, a general election and a government led by Sinn Féin.